taking cooking as a metaphor for life and the body as a vessel. That's how the idea of kitchen came in. One could actually create an experience of all the senses. You had this fantastic cosmic cooking that is being done by the Mirav drummers, where the sounds of the Om happen when they are in unison. All the sight of the spectacle that's created in how this cooking is happening, with two people cooking down, them cooking on top. Then you had the smells of ghee, you had smells of cardamom, you had the smell of milk, you had smells of caramelized sugar. And at the end of the show, then the actors and the drummers, they take this payasam out and it's, distributed to the audience who've come to see the show. So they taste it like a prasad and the people have a holistic theatre experience.
Today we are meeting Royston, theatre director. Royston believes you don't need words to tell stories, or for that matter, language. There is no way to describe what Royston does, because what Royston does defies definition. Can you say that about anyone else? To be so fiercely individual, yet create music and theatre so accessible, so easily understood and felt and appreciated. Not just at home, but the world over. From his decade with Shakespeare, outpoured the iconic and Fringe Award-winning Othello in black and white, that explored questions of race. Goodbye Desdemona, that explored the many textures of love and sexuality. And Romeo and Juliet, that took a long hard look at the clannishness of Bollywood. When he turned his eye homeward, he created shows that travelled the world, bringing it a glimpse of our culture. Before finally coming to India, the Manganiyar Seduction, the Manganiyar Classroom, 100 Charmers and the Kitchen.
We were in a boarding school, right? So in boarding school is in Ooty. And then you're going to Bangalore for your college. So, and this is this newfound freedom from a boarding school. What do? So you're just enjoying Bangalore. So obviously my dad got to know of all this and, so I had to be pulled out of Bangalore. So I was looking after the business here, which was again a boring thing. And you're thinking at one point, is this what you want to do, for the rest of your life? Suddenly one day, my mother used to get a magazine and it was called Griha Lakshmi or something, or Vanita, I don't remember, one of these. And I was just going through them and then I see a photograph of two girls hanging lights. And I'm like, what? There's a drama school? I said, dude, this is what I need to do. So I inquired and all that, and then they said this drama school is in Thrissur. Students creating wonderful sets, lights coming out in the night, It's just magical. And I says like, man, this is where I belong. One guy comes to me and says, this is National School of Drama in Delhi, and you get a stipend of 650 rupees or 550 rupees at that. I said, oh, not bad, yeah. That means I can sustain myself for 3 years. So I applied. But this time, because I was in drama school, I prepared, man. So they check you in Hindi and all that. They say, my thing was I used to voraciously watch Mahabharata or Ramayana at that point to figure out, what Hindi is like. So then I would answer to them like, मेरा हिंदी अच्छा नहीं है, परंतु, and I would use all the Sanskrit thing that was there in Mahabharata, and they laughed at it. They took me in, got into NSD, which was again madness. So I had this thing for the grandeur of theatre, you know, where you can explore yourself in really a large scale. So I did this Merchant of Venice where I used the first year, second year, and third year. So totally there are 60 students in NSD. I think I used about 52 or 55 of them. And we made posters and we put it all over Mandi House. And, you know, so that was my first set of houseful shows. And obviously, I am like, it really got to my head as well, and I am like a super director. So like, you know, this cocky, haughty guy that I was, I went to the British Council in Delhi and why don't we work out a project where I can take this out to the UK and Stratford-upon-Avon. So they were like, you know, they were very generous and kind and, you know, concerned about me. They said, why don't you apply for a scholarship? Be in the UK. And basically I interned with the Royal Shakespeare Company and all that. Then I saw a lot of plays. That was my scholarship. So I just had a great exposure. Came back and started a theatre company called the Indian Shakespeare Company. And then tasted first blood by doing new writing and Shakespeare, which was Othello in black and white.
He used to get nightmares when, you know, he used to rehearse for some play. In the process, he used to, you know, in his sleep, he used to give speech, like the whole Shakespeare, like, hello.
Had the Junod eyes, had the Junod ears, had the Junod organs, dimensions, you know, affections, passions. If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? Are we not hurt by the same? And I just loved the way prose was almost like poetry in Shakespeare. And I just loved how dramatic these lines were written for an actor. That was my early kick on Shakespeare. So it's basically Rajiv Sethi who pulls me out. He thinks that I'm like the right guy to take traditional India to a contemporary platform. And you cannot forget them. And there's so much skill here, whereas the contemporary actor is trying to acquire skills. Then is when I personally think that this is where you can find a third language. You know, a contemporary director going into a folk traditional world and the collaboration of which will bring in a third language, which is not really being explored today. Traveling around in Spain, and I needed two musicians. So I asked the NGO I was working with to get me two musicians, and they got me two Manganiyar musicians. One was Devu Khan and one was Mame Khan. And we were in Segovia, which is a medieval town. And it's over there, these guys used to sing to me day and night. You know, they would come outside my room and start singing, and then I figured out that I was thinking it'll be somebody in my dream, or something. And then realized two musicians outside my room singing. I would wake up, get ready, then we go to a park, start singing there, come back, siesta, very important, you know, and then do the show in the evening. After the show again, you hit parties, full night you're singing, come back to the room at 6 o'clock 5 o'clock in the morning. These guys will sing me and tuck me into bed, and I'll crash out. 9:30, 10 again, they'll wake me up.
तो रोस्टन साहब जहीं कहीं जाते थे, अगर गार्डन में जाके वो सो जाते ऐसे, हम चिपके धीरे 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 जाके पास में बैठ के आराम से स्लो गाना शुरू कर देते और आप जगते। और कभी कभार तो ऐसे रो पड़ते, तो ये रो पड़ते हम बंद कर देते थे करना। नहीं बेटा गाओ, देखो गाओ, प्लीज गाओ आप। अरे नहीं यार तुम गाओ। रूम में चले जाते तो बाहर आके बैठ के शुरू कर देते, दरवाजा बंद है शुरू कर देते तो सोचते आ गए शैतान। मतलब हमें ये दिल से पता नहीं ये हो गया था।
And this went on for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, I don't know what happened to me. There was a major shift in me. Call it whatever, I don't want to name it. And after that crazy experience, I left them and went to Bonn. And when I went to Bonn, I was flying. And people were all looking at me saying, what is wrong with you, you know? And I was so high, without anything, that I would drink a couple of glasses of whiskey to bring myself down. You know, so that's what the music did to me. And then I would call these people on their phone from Germany to Spain and make them sing on the phone to me and all that. And I knew I was like, I knew I was filled. I mean, if there was a point in my life where I could say that I was filled with the inspiration to the brim, it's probably that time. So I'm asking myself, what did the Manganiyars bloody do to you? And the first thing that comes to me is that these Manganiyars seduced me to death because their music was so strong. And then you're looking for parallels of seduction, right? And I still remember when in Amsterdam, to the red light district of Amsterdam, 3-4 levels, it was massive. It was just the sheer theater of, you know, windows and women, you know, trying to get their business, you know, going. And I was like, wow, you know, and it just stayed with me. Now, and then you're thinking, you know, so when you're arriving at a set, you know, what all do you do? I mean, what are these Manganiyars to you? So for me, they were like the jewels of the country, right? And they had to be jewel cased. And what do they do? And they're seducing you, you know, all out. I said, let's just take a combination of these jewel cases and the red light district of Amsterdam and try and arrive at a design where this whole grandeur of their music can be, you know, like really grand and appealing in a massive way, and yet it can be personal. So hence the, you know, separation, and when it all comes together and, you know, and as a big installation, you know, it just hits you fully. And that's how the set came about. And it's worked.
मेरा नाम चुगे खान है। मैं अमीरा गांव से हूँ, मंगनियार जाति से हूँ। और हमने सीएम साहब का जयपुर में रोस्टन साहब के जो सडक्शन में प्रोग्राम किया था, तो वो हमारे स्टेज पे आ गए थे और खुश होकर उन्होंने मंगनियार को सबको घर तक रोड दे दिया। उसी रोड का ये है चुगे खान हाउस, मेरा नाम है। ये रोड उन्हीं की तरफ से हमें मिला है।
ये रोड हमारा, मैं दरे खान, और ये बहुत बड़ी बात है हमारे लिए, मंगनियार के लिए, कि गांव में रोड लाना और ये बोर्ड लगाना, ये हमारे लिए बहुत मुश्किल था।
पानी का टैंकर वैंकर सब आ जाता है, नहीं तो पहले रेत थी, नहीं आता था, अब आराम से आ जाता है।
Earlier, I used to find these musicians also, I used to go from village to village. So the normal routine is, you know, you hit the village at about 6:30. So they'll give you tea. The kids will come first, they will sing, then they'll go. When the alcohol comes out, then slowly there'll be one goat getting barbecued or getting cooked. And then the elderly musicians will come out. And then they'll start singing. By the time it'll be dark, so under the moonlight we'll be singing and drinking throughout the night. So that's my audition.
वो हमारे एज ए गेस्ट नहीं आते, वो हमारे एक फैमिली मेंबर है। उनके लिए हम गाते बजाते, हमें कोई टाइम नहीं दिखता है, कुछ नहीं दिखता है, हम सिर्फ उनको उनकी भक्ति में हम गाते रहते हैं कि रोस्टन सर आए हुए।
तो रोस्टन जी हमारे लिए, हमारे परिवार में आते हैं नहीं,
और वो संगीत के प्रेमी हैं।
I just feel, you know, it's like, it's probably one place where I really feel at home. And they bond with me like that. You know, I'm like one of them. For a, you know, an urban Mallu director like me to go there and spend so much time and then do things there and be with them, and again looking forward to doing more things with them. And that's the only connection that I really enjoy, you know. I don't really have that connection with other actors or even ethnic communities.
मैं कभी इनको नहीं भूल सकता, नहीं मेरा परिवार भूल सकता, नहीं मेरी समाज भूल सकती और नहीं मेरा गांव भूल सकता.
It's quite a bond. It's like I say, it's a past life connection. There's no other way I can, you know, put two and two together to analyze this bond.
हमने तो अब इतना हमने गिनती नहीं किया है रोशन साहब के साथ में, लगभग तो बहुत से देश दिखाए हमें। अमेरिका पूरा दिखा दिया, यूरोप पूरा दिखा दिया, इधर सऊदी में अरब कंट्री पूरा, हॉलैंड, बैंकॉक, इधर चाइना वगैरह, पता हमको नाम भी नहीं आ रहे कि हम कितने देश जाके आए। 3 पासपोर्ट तो मेरे भी फुल हो गए।
Wherever they go, they have to come back. They're very stuck in their roots. They're not affected by all the glitz and glamour that you see outside and all that. I mean, it's nice to go to New York, you know, roam around, go to Times Square. Your thing will come on the Times Square thing. Arey, hum aa gaye and all that bus, and then come back. Chalo, ghar chalte hain after the show. That's about it.
सर वहाँ पे आए, जब सुना बच्चों को, देखा कि सर के दिमाग में एक ही चीज़ था कि मंगनियार अनपढ़ है, तो उनके लिए एक स्कूल बनाने की सोच भी रहे, अभी भी सोच रहे हैं और पहले से सोच है, और इंशाअल्लाह ताला ये सोच पूरी होगी, वो ऊपर वाला करेगा। और उसके बाद में जब हमारे गांव में आया, जैसे इनको मेरे से ही लगा, क्योंकि मुझे अंग्रेजी आता नहीं, हिंदी अब बोलने लगा हूँ,
Spanish आता है बस. Because you had a Spanish girlfriend. Very few of us actually manage to get to do, you know, what your inner calling is. And in a case like the Manganiyar children, you give them exposure, but then don't dumb them down. So making a performance in this case with the Manganiyar children, other than the fact that, you know, it is an exhibition of how talented these kids are, trying to tell people as to what we are doing to destroy them.
गलती इन बच्चों का नहीं है, गलती हमारी है, क्योंकि हमारे पास पढ़ाने का तरीका ही नहीं है। ये मंगनियार बच्चे हैं, इनके खून में ही संगीत है, ये जन्मते ही सुर में रोते हैं। वैसे मैं भी मंगनियार हूँ, मेरे माँ बाप ने मुझे डंडा मार मार के स्कूल भेजा और पढ़ाया। आज मैं मास्टर बन गया, लेकिन मास्टर बन के मुझे खुशी नहीं हो रही है, जो मुझे खुशी इन बच्चों से मिल रही है।
The music business is dwindling, and there are few who can make it. No, if somebody has 7 sons, maybe one son of them will be a musician or 2 sons. The rest will have to find something else. But then they're trying with the education system. The local education system is so bad. What do they end up being? It's not a great scene. That's one of the reasons why we need the school to happen and really look into it. So that's why the play, that's why the film, and so finally we'll be able to get a state-of-the-art school for the Manganiyar children in at least another 5 years. I seriously wish I could define myself as a person. The closest I think I can come to is somebody who's on a, on a pursuit, so to say, to find something. It's always a mirage. I'm a person who is doing things with his ideas, right? Now, you cannot just contribute the idea to yourself because your ideas come from so many things. You've got to let the genies of inspiration keep coming to you and not block them block them away with your stupid ego. The few memories I have, one very strong one which actually registered with me was the teacher complaining to my parents that I was a dreamer. I was guilty of the fact that I was a dreamer, and it stayed on with me, and I thought something was wrong with me. But still, for me, it was, even today, one of the reasons I got a driver when I could hardly afford it was because I would drive and then I would just take off, and then suddenly something would come in the thing, and that's when because I just go into my imaginary world like this. The focus was never to be a great director or to be a thing. The focus was just to do theatre because it kept you happy. You were like happy all the time.